Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
It jumped up a notch.
It did, didn't it?
Well, if you haven't heard the name Bonnie Blue, then you really are not on the internet. No, I'm kidding. If you haven't heard the name Bonnie Blue, she is an adult content creator, porn star, OnlyFans, Instagram, TikTok. She's been very controversial as of late. And recently, she's had her visa canceled in 2 countries, as Australia and Fiji. And the reason is that basically she was doing a stunt. And she was supposedly doing some porn with 18-year-olds. And the way it was promoted, it was barely legal teens. Which, if you're familiar with the porn industry, there is a company called Barely Legal Teens out there. Not the same, obviously. But basically, she had some pushback as far as that, and people were really pissed off because the way it sounded, and it sounded like she was going to have sex with young boys.
Are you ready? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Are you ready?
But in this case, they were of age on there. But we're going to read into this. This just came out recently from the New York Post. Sex worker speaks out for the first time after scandalous stunt to sleep with barely legal teens. Controversial sex worker Bonnie Blue has spoken out for the first time since her infamous Schoolies stunt. That's what they're calling it, which saw her sleep with very legal young men and filmed it for an adult subscription site, which is probably OnlyFans. After having her visa canceled in Australia before the Gold Coast Schoolies event and being deported from Fiji after trying to relocate there, Blue exclusively told News.com Australia that she stands by her actions despite facing backlash and being labeled predatory. She claimed the main reason she isn't predatory is that the boys who lined up to sleep with her after she shares her location must complete multiple consent forms. Yeah, you could, if she was getting the paperwork on this. These were young men who were of age that basically they were able to fill out the form, give the ID and all that, which that's what you do in this business. And see that's the thing, because a lot of these critics for the adult industry is saying like, well, they don't really check, they just go, no, a lot, you need to dot your I's, cross your T's in the adult business. Trust me on that. Continue on. They have chosen to contact me, give consent, and allowed to film, she said. Along this, teens must undergo a breathalyzer test, wear condoms, and bring physical ID to prove they are of age. Then, through their interaction, she said, the topic of consent is heavily discussed. There are lots of talking. I discuss content, pleasure, and what to expect. And then during the filming, I asked them what they enjoy. She said she aims to ensure that everyone's boundaries are respected and that the boys are comfortable the entire time. I really don't like when they call them boys. They're young men, on this article. They try to make it sound like she's like a cheese pizza. Despite being nervous, the Brit said the school leavers are friendly and respectful. Whether you're sleeping with a student or their dad, it can be a nervous encounter, she explained. A lot of young men haven't had a lot of experience with a woman's body and feel either embarrassed or nervous to perform, which is normal and expected when their education has come from a school teacher and then porn showing professional adult stars performing. She maintained that the criticism she received about the use of the words barely legal in her promotional materials was unwarranted. The key word in the sentence is legal, she pointed out, and that's true. I understand people may not agree with the content I make, and that's true also. However, it doesn't make me a predator, nor is my behavior predatory. I am educating the younger generations on safe sex, consent, and allowing them to understand their bodies and those they are sleeping with. No one's ever pressured or even contacted by myself. It's their decisions and their bodies. My body, my choice. Remember that. Activist and survivor Harrison James told news.com.au on Wednesday that he believed the creator posed a genuine risk to young school leavers despite her assurance regarding safety and consent. I mean, these guys are going into college. They're at college at this point. Bonnie's approach of sharing her location online and allowing participants to queue without any vetting process is deeply concerning, he said. Which she said, no, she does do vetting. It raises a significant and ethical and safety issues, especially given the vulnerability of young men who are barely legal adults. The lack of structure creates a heightened risk of coercion, exploitation, and uniform decision making. In certain countries, it's legal for them to drink. In certain countries, it's legal for them to be drafted or to join the military. Okay, we'll put that out there. James, who was molested as a teenager, is the advocating for the removal of good character references in the sentence procedures of Cheese Pizza through your reference ain't relevant campaign. While Bonnie emphasizes the use of content, forms, and discussions, these steps do not eliminate the underlying power imbalance, the award-winning activist explained. Many of these 18-year-olds are navigating their first steps into adulthood and placing them in such a hypersexualization and monetized settings, compromising their ability to provide fully informed consent. Again, these are college students. These are 18. These are people that can be drafted. In some places, they're able to drink. They're able to get a license to drive, even though their insurance rate will be through the roof. Reading on, true consent is more than legality. It requires emotional maturity and an environment free from the pressure or manipulation. James believes her claims about educating young men about safe sex are deeply problematic. Not the first time I've seen someone in the adult industry try to teach sex. They used to call it, the term courtesan comes to mind in these situations. Basically, there was a time period when we had courtesans that fathers used to go to for their sons to teach them sex. Maybe she's making money off of this, but maybe she might be able to teach them something that that they're not taught, because that's the situation these days. They saying that porn sexualizes the kids, but actually they're trying to be sexualized by the teachers themselves. They're in these schools these days, and the younger ones, and I'm talking kindergarten, grade school, and early high school. General sexual education should happen in trusted, regulated environments, not through encounters with adults profiting from these interactions, he explained. Her framing undermines the importance of proper education and instead normalizes a high exploitative dynamic. He said Blue's assertion that her actions are justified because they are legal misses the bigger picture, as legality doesn't equate to morality or ethically. Yeah, this is you could hear where this is coming from this activist. While the participants may technically be adults, he noted, they are still vulnerable to manipulation, especially when engaging with someone in a position of significant power and influence. He argued that using the legal technicality to justify her actions as not predatory is a tone deaf. Predatory behavior isn't defined solely by legality, but by the exploitation of power imbalances and vulnerability, both of which are present in these scenarios, he said. Her recent comments reinforce my concerns about the broader implications of her actions, particularly the normalization and exploitation behaviors under the guise of legality and education. Ahead of the Australian Schoolies, Blue made a call out for barely legal young men to film adult content with her. There was a widespread outrage about Blue ahead of the stunt, with many social media users weighing in on the discussion. A Change.org petition for Blue to be booted from Australia saw almost 100,000 signatures and argued Bonnie finds Schoolies the perfect opportunity to find young men to prey on and record sexual content to sell. In addition, speaking out to James called the Gold Coast Meridian where Blue was staying to alert it to the situations. Australia then canceled the sex worker's visa following the controversy on the grounds of allegations she intended to contravene her 12-month visa by working in the country. Okay, she violated her visa in the country on that. So it wasn't because of that she was going to be working. Big difference. It wasn't for the porn. It was that someone says, oh, she's working in the country. Big difference. It was this intention to work that was the basis for the cancellation, not the campaign over her plan to have sex with young men. Yes, see this situation? The way it was sounding was that she was booted out of Australia because she was going to have sex with young college men. Interesting, isn't it? Blue and fellow sex worker Ann Knight then took their Schoolies endeavor to Fiji after her visa was revoked. However, the pair also faced hurdles from the Fiji government, which claimed they had broken their visitor visas there as well. The pair fled the country after Fiji's Home Affairs and Immigration Minister said Blue was going to be deported. Vilaman if I mispronounce this, I'm sorry, Gafka, the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Tourism and Civil Aviation, called the duo harmful to Fiji's image. Just 2 hours before the news broke, the pair claimed that they had sex with 24 people the day prior. Speaking with News.com Australia on Wednesday, Knight echoed Blue's sentiments, and she said she has also had strict procedures in place to keep herself and the boys safe. Young men. She mentioned that the young men... Okay, in the next line, it says it. She mentioned that the young men who she ends up sleeping with are the ones who are mature and seem completely sure about wanting to participate. If there are any guys who seem ever slightly unsure, we refuse to let them participate. We always have a great time and we connect with a lot of them. I feel that they have similar outlooks on life, ours, which I love. So people who think that she is a predator and exploiting these men, Knight asks, how can I be a predator when I'm not preying on anyone? If I were preying on men, I'd be roaming the streets, finding an easy to manipulate man and try to convince him to come home with me. That's not what I'm doing. I'm simply saying this is where I'm going to be. This is the service I'm offering. Come if you want. And if the people who show up are coming willingly without coercion. She says hate is received is astronomical and she'll never understand it. I find it interesting on those closing out this story, to me, and those who fully process and everything that is involved with the filming and completely fine with it and don't have an issue with it. It is all uneducated people jumping to conclusions and making assumptions about things that they don't have no idea about. It is unwarranted in my opinion, but I remain unbothered. She finally signs out, the more people who complain and campaign against it, the more my bank account grows. See, the thing is, this was a casting call. Understand, this is a casting call. People don't realize it. When stuff like this comes out, this is not like you're going out there and saying, hey, come on and have some sex. No, this is a casting call for young men. And they're given stipulation because you have to remember, their identity have to be checked out. They have to be checked medically, which they have to go through a medical situation as well. You know, and then a pre-interview This is not something for everyone. I've always said this. When it comes to OnlyFans, when it comes to Instagram, all these adult content or porn creators, not this kind of business is not for everyone. It's the same thing with regular content creation. You know, whether it's news, entertainment, all that, gaming and all that, it's not for everyone. You know, you could talk with any porn star and they'll tell you it is not an easy business to be in. It's not for everyone. On occasion, you might find someone that, you know, will do something to this nature. And it's not uncommon that this happens in the business. There are certain porn stars that does, you know, those, what they call it, sex with a fan, or to the nature of porn movie with a fan. And sometimes it's blurred out. The person is blurred, the face is blurred out, and they, you know, to that situation, or it's not. There's plenty of it online, but it's not easy. It's the same way there was, I forgot which porn star was doing this. I know someone from overseas, that she's trying to break the record with the most men to sleep with. Sex with. We've had this before, many times before. For many years now, you know, it was like what they call it, you start out with like 100, then it was 500, and it kept going on and on and on with a lot of these. And for some time period, those videos were very popular. Not anymore as well. This particular one that's coming out now that they're working on. But each one of those guys are basically, they're checked out. It's not something that you drop something and, you know, you say, okay, you know, here we go. You know, it's not that easy. You know, people make it easier than it sounds. You know, there are people that won't do this. They go in, they find out, and they just suddenly, they feel ill and they walk away from it. That's when you see like stuff like certain OnlyFans models and some people that, you know, they've done a couple of porn movies and then suddenly they are out after a year. It's not, like I said, it's not for everyone. And the way that this was pushed, obviously, you know, they were saying like, oh, they got kicked out because of that. And it wasn't. It was a total lie. They were kicked out because basically they violated their visas. They could not work in that country. They were probably on a vacation visa. So, comment. Let me know, what are your thoughts about this? What do you think of Bonnie Blue on this whole situation on that? Don't forget to hit that like, share this video, and hopefully today's the day I've earned your subscription. So until next time, thank you for tuning in. Be sure to check out Otaku Thursday this Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube and Rumble, and we will see you on the next video. Bye-bye now.